The Baycock is a character from the Anishinaabe. It is said to fly through the forest of the Great Lakes region. Described as death in the Song of Hiawatha, it is said to appear as an extremely emaciated skeleton-like figure, with thin translucent skin and glowing red points for eyes. The Baycock only preys upon warriors, but does so ruthlessly, using invisible arrows or beating its prey to death with a club. They are created when a human warrior dies a dishonorable or shameful way, particularly after committing some evil crime, such as fratricide or incest. Often they are unable to rest because their bones are scattered or thrown into lakes by those they have wronged, which prevents them from moving on to the afterlife. They wear the ragged tatters of whatever clothing they wore when they died, which was typically a hunter's clothing. The Baycocks are said to approach sleeping hunters. They gently cut an opening in the chest and remove a piece of the stomach without waking the victim. The word Baycock in Anishinaabe means skeleton, in the sense of bones draped in skin, rather than bare bones. They are described as possessing the power of both invisibility and flight, making them terrifying beings. Adding to this, they use invisible arrows, have unnatural strength, and an endless hunger. In some stories, it is said that the Baycock can be laid to rest by recovering its scattered bones and giving them a proper funeral, allowing the wretched creature to pass on to the land of souls. It would be amazing to dig up more information about these creatures in the future, and to possibly make standalone videos about them. I think you guys would really appreciate that. Number 2. The Thunderbirds. Unlike the Wendigo, the Thunderbird was a less malevolent creature. However, it was also deeply powerful, and could be angered if not shown the proper level of respect. The Thunderbird appears in many mythologies of different Native American peoples who inhabited the Midwest and the Great Plains, even up to the Pacific Northwest. The creature was said to have been a great bird that controlled the rain and storms. According to certain legends, the Thunderbird is a servant of the Great Spirit, or Creator. In other groups, such as the Munamuni, they depict the Thunderbird as living on top of a great mountain. The number of Thunderbirds varies depending on the tribe and the storyteller. The Sioux and the Munamuni, for instance, believe there is an entire race of Thunderbirds, whereas other myths describe only a single creature. All tribes tend to agree, however, that the Thunderbird is a very powerful being, often associated with great feats. In Sioux mythology, Thunderbirds fight against reptilian monsters, threatening the world. Because of the creature's supreme powers, becoming associated with the Thunderbird was believed to mark an individual as someone of prominence and importance. Dreaming of the bird often designated someone as a prominent member of the tribe. In Algonquian mythology, the Thunderbird controls the upper world, while the underworld is controlled by the underwater panther, or great horned serpent, as discussed in the previous video. The Thunderbird throws lightning at the underworld creatures, and creates thunder by flapping its wings. The Munamuni of northern Wisconsin tell of a great mountain that floats in the western sky, on which dwell the Thunderbirds. They control the rain and hail, and delight in fighting and deeds of greatness. They are the enemies of the great horned snakes, and have prevented these creatures from overrunning the earth and devouring mankind. They are said to be the messengers of the great sun himself. Many legends reference the anger of the Thunderbirds as something fearsome to behold, which could result in harsh punishments. In one story, an entire village was turned to stone for their wrongdoings. The origins of the Thunderbirds may go back to the mound builders. Throughout history, the Thunderbird symbol has appeared on totem poles, pottery, petroglyphs, masks, jewelry, and carvings. The legend has been told through songs and oral histories over time. Although this creature is not evil, it is still terrifying that it possessed so much power. The Deer Woman. Sometimes known as the Deer Lady, it is a spirit in various forms of Native American mythology that is primarily associated with fertility and love. Though primarily shown as a benign spirit, she is also shown to lure promiscuous men to their death. She appears either as a young beautiful woman or a deer. Hopefully when she lures those promiscuous men to their death, she is not appearing as a deer. Deer woman stories are found in many Native American tribes, told to young children or by young adults, and prepubescents in tribes like the Sioux, Ponca, the Omaha people, Cherokee, Muskogee, Choctaw, Osage, and Pawnee people, and the Iroquois. In some traditions, she can be banished through the use of chanting and tobacco. Others claim that the spell she cast can be broken if one looks at her cloven hooves. Other stories and traditions describe the sighting of the Deer Woman as a sign of personal transformation or as a warning. Deer Woman is also said to be fond of dancing, and will sometimes join a communal dance unnoticed, leaving only when the drum beating ceases. The Deer Woman shows characteristics and traits of both sirens and succubi. The sirens, according to the Theo Project, are monstrous sea nymphs that lure men to their deaths with their song. Succubi, as defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, are demons who take female form to have sexual intercourse with men in their sleep. Constant contact with a succubus can result in failing health or death for a man. Deer women lure men with their beauty and magic, like the sirens. Countless female spirits worldwide have similar characteristics. Perhaps all of these different accounts are of the same creature. Ura-Uli, or Hairy Man, are a mythical race of creatures that live in the woodland areas of southwestern Alaska. Stories of the Ura-Uli describe them as standing 10 feet tall, with long, shaggy fur and luminescent eyes. They are said to emit a high-pitched cry, resembling that of a loon. Their long, lanky arms have been described as reaching down to their ankles. Now, if you haven't guessed already, this one sounds really familiar. Rumored to live in the forest, near the area of Lake Ilimna, the Ura-Uli are said to be peaceful creatures, unlike the Kushtaka of southeastern Alaska. The Ura-Uli live in the wide tundra areas near Lake Ilimna. This quick and agile Alaskan cryptid is oftentimes seen traveling at night and is a fast swimmer. It is often blamed for stealing fish and dogs, as well as destroying the tents of nearby campers. Many people from that particular region have their stories of encounters with the creature. In 1956, a fisherman spotted the Ura-Uli as he was anchoring his fishing boat on the beach at night. A biologist from Ketchikan had later found and took a photograph of huge human-like footprints on the same beach. In 1982, in the city of Dillingham, a hunter guide showed a picture that he had taken of Ura-Uli standing on a mountain ridge. It had an approximate height of about 10 feet and weighed around 750 pounds, with long reddish-brown fur. In July of 1999, along the banks of the Kisiralik River in Alaska, a group was able to take a photo of a pair of huge wedge-shaped footprints that they had noticed in the mud. The footprints were estimated to be about 12 to 14 inches long and 3 inches deep, and they were approximated to be 6 feet apart. In the same year, a black-haired huge creature was seen standing on 2 legs in the cold bay of Belkovsky. It stood about 14 feet tall and had the appearance of an ape, with very long arms and legs. Legendary accounts say that children who got out of the house at night get lost in the woods and are transformed into the Ura-Uli. Perhaps this tale was told to children so they would be afraid to go out at night and stay home instead. Encounters with this creature are mostly harmless and undisruptive, but like any other beings or creatures, it will surely defend itself if it feels that its life is being threatened. Paisa. This dragon-like beast was depicted in 2 Native American murals along the Mississippi River. After exploring the Mississippi River in 1673, Louis Joliet and Father Marquette returned by way of the Illinois River. Just above its mouth, they saw a painted carved creature in the cliffs that resembled more than anything else a reptilian dragon. Because of its vicious appearance, Marquette named the creature Paisa, meaning destroyer. Unfortunately, a zealous land developer excavated the rock sculpture in 1876. It is now considered a lost heritage of another age. However, Squire Russell of Bluffdale, Illinois, later reported, "I used to climb the rocks to look at the Paisa when I was a young boy. I have been within 60 feet of it. The colors were always affected by dampness, being very distinct after a rain. The picture was cut into the rock a ½ inch or more, and was originally painted red, black, and blue. Large, disproportioned teeth, the horns of an elk, the scaly body of a large fish, and a bear's legs with the eagle's claws. The tail was at least 50 feet long, wound 3 times around the body, and tipped with a spearhead thrust backward through its hind legs. The upper horns were painted red. The lower portion and head were painted black. The wings expanded to the right and left of its head, and the Paisa's body was at least 16 feet long. Its head and neck were covered with a whiskey mane, and its body covered with the 3 colors. In 1820, Captain Gideon Spencer came up to the Mississippi River and saw the same picture on the rock. He asked the nearby Indians what it was. They told him it was the storm bird, or thunderer, and that it had been carved there by an Indian tribe long ago. Long, long ago, when only animals walked the earth, Stormbird lived in a cave by the river. His cave was lined with the bones of buffalo victims. He would swoop down upon a buffalo herd and drive his terrible claws into the fattest one, carrying it off to his cave. After our people arrived on the earth, Stormbird captured one of our warriors. From that day on, he was a threat to our whole tribe, men, women, and children. A loud roar and flapping sound signaled that the Stormbird was coming out of his cave. Everyone agreed that something must be done to destroy the monster, but what? Owatoga was our great chief of the Illinois. He announced to our people that he was determined to find a way to kill the beast. As part of their tribal ritual, he withdrew in solitude to fast and seek a vision. He prayed to the Great Spirit to reveal a way to conquer the Stormbird. When Chief Owatoga returned, he directed all of our people to hide in their teepees. He then dispatched his chosen warriors to the brush surrounding an exposed point of land, directly opposite to the cave of Stormbird. Dressed in his chief's war bonnet, Owatoga took his stand upon the point of the land without weapons. Stormbird could see the chief. It began to roar, eyeing our chief with clenched teeth. It opened its huge web-like wings and charged at the chief. Owatoga stood his ground. Owatoga stood his ground, chanting his death song. Instantly, the hidden warriors let go of their arrows with sharp-pointed flints. The Stormbird was struck from all sides with hundreds of arrows and fell dead. To honor Chief Owatoga and in remembrance of the event, a sculpture of the flying Stormbird was carved into the cliffside and painted by the Illini tribe a long time ago, an exact replica of the terrible beast. In Inuit mythology, Helut is an evil chthonic spirit who resembles a hairless dog. It is said to feast upon the dead and is sometimes seen as a harbinger of death. Having hair only on its feet, the tracks of the Helut are said to disappear, giving those the creature stalks no warning of its presence. The Quileute is a spirit of the underworld that comes to the surface mostly in winter. In its physical form, it resembles a hairless dog, with hair only on its feet. It is a spirit of the underworld that only comes to surface mostly in winter. It is said to feast upon the dead, and as many of its European counterparts, such as the Barghest, it sometimes acts as a harbinger of death. This mythical creature of the Inuit folklore likes to attack those who travel alone. It sends them into fits by simply looking at them, causing its victims to forget who they are and where they are going. The disoriented victim soon dies of hypothermia, and the only thing the Quileute needs to do is feast. The Quileute tends to run away if confronted by noise and shouts, and it's particularly sensitive to the sound of its own name. Fortunately, the Quileute tends to run away if confronted by loud noise and shouts, and it's particularly sensitive to the sound of its own name. However, as it is a master hunter, most often its victims don't realize it's after them until it's too late. The Mei-Mingweshi are a race of trickster people in Cree folklore. They are described as semi-humanoid, being sextaculous humans with very thin and lanky arms and legs and big heads minus a nose. According to one Cree legend of mythology, there are two humanoid races, one being the familiar human species and the other being the little people. These people are said to live between the rocks and the rapids. One of their biggest delights is a form of trickster behavior. They crawl out of the rocks and capsize the canoes of people canoeing by through the rapids, spinning them to their deaths. It is said that they are great tricksters and apparently enjoy playing pranks and jokes on humans. The Mei-Mingweshi have attracted interest in recent years due to its possible cryptozoological connections. It is believed by some that the Dover demon represents a modern sighting of the Mei-Mingweshi. The Dover demon is a small humanoid reported from Dover, Massachusetts. It was the subject of an intensive scare during the 1970s, when multiple witnesses came forward with their sightings. The Dover demon is described as looking sort of like a gray variety of an alien, except that it has the skin of a rosy orange instead of a sickly gray. The Dover demon has a large head on a small, stick-like body. It can be bipedal, but it often travels on all fours and forth between the two modes of locomotion. The city of Toronto once had numerous streams and waterways that now exist underground, buried and running through tunnel and sewer systems. The Algonquin tribes of Canada, including Cree, spoke of small man-like hairy creatures. The Mei-Mingweshi thrived in these rivers before they were hidden away from the public. In 1978, a similar monkey-like creature was sighted living in an underground tunnel in Toronto. Kushtaka. Physically, Kushtaka are shapeshifters, capable of assuming human form, the form of an otter, and potentially other forms. Accounts of their behavior seems to conflict with one another. In some stories, Kushtaka are cruel creatures who take delight in tricking poor Tlingit sailors to their deaths. In others, they are friendly and helpful, frequently saving the lost from death by freezing. In many stories, the Kushtaka save the lost individual by distracting them with their curiously otter-like illusions of their family and friends as they transform their subject into a fellow Kushtaka, thus allowing them to survive the cold. Naturally, this is counted a mixed blessing. However, Kushtaka legends are not always pleasant. In some legends, it is said the Kushtaka will imitate the cries of a baby or screams of women to lure victims to the river. Once there, the Kushtaka either kills the person and tears them into shreds, or will turn them into another Kushtaka. Legends have it, Kushtaka can be warded off through copper, urine, dogs, and in some stories, fire. Since the Kushtaka mainly preys on children, it has been thought by some that it was used by Tlingit mothers to keep their children from wandering too close to the ocean by themselves. It is also said that the Kushtaka emit a high-pitched 3-part whistle in the pattern of low, high, and low. Hey guys, Drybones here. Thanks for watching the video. Please like the video and share it. It will greatly help out my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I plan on doing even more like it in the future. I have several videos already in mind. You guys are the best, and I always look forward to your comments. Alright, I'm off. I hope you guys are not too spooked. Alright. Oh yeah, and one last thing. Stay spooky, my friend.